Some oddities kill you quickly, some kill you slowly, but some make you watch yourself die, one sleepless night at a time, knowing there's nothing you can do to stop it. Before we get into this one, if you're new here, welcome to Medical Oddities. We tell true stories about the strange, the unexplained, and the downright bizarre corners of medical history. If that sounds like your kind of gig, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next one. Trust me, it only gets weirder from here. This one's going to bring us to Venice, Italy, 1983. Silvano is a 53-year-old successful businessman, married, 2 daughters, and by all accounts, he's living a good life. And one night, he just can't sleep. He can't keep it. It keeps him up all night. Now, we've all had insomnia, a restless night here and there, maybe a week of bad sleep when you're stressed, but this hits different. This is different. Silvano lies in bed, eyes closed and mind exhausted, body begging for rest. But sleep, it simply won't come. Not for an hour, not for 2 hours, not at all. He tries everything he can think of: warm milk, reading, meditation, sleeping pills. Nothing will work. One night becomes two. 2 nights becomes a week. That week becomes a month. He's functioning, albeit barely, going through the motions of his life, but his body is starting to break down. These incredibly dark circles start forming under his eyes. He gets these tremors in his hands, starts gaining this confusion, this forgetfulness of everything. His wife is terrified, and the doctors are baffled. They run test after test, and everything comes back normal. Except Silvano can't sleep at all, ever. And here's the thing that makes this truly horrifying. Silvano actually knows what's happening to him, because he's seen this before. His 2 sisters died this way, his father died this way, and his grandfather died this way. In fact, his great-grandmother also died this way. For over 200 years, the Silvano's family has been dying of the same thing, one by one by one, generation after generation. They stop sleeping, they deteriorate, then they die. And now, it's his unfortunate turn. Let me tell you about the Silvano's family. They're from the Veneto region of Italy. Respected, well-known, but cursed. For generations, family members have whispered about this sickness, this thing that just runs in their blood, the thing that eventually comes for almost everyone who carries that name. It always starts the same way around middle age, usually early 50s, sometimes late 40s. You simply stop sleeping. At first, it's just insomnia, annoying and frustrating, but quite manageable. But then, it gets worse. You can't sleep for days, then weeks. Your body starts failing and your mind starts breaking down. You develop symptoms that don't make sense. Excessive sweating, rapid heartbeat, inexplicable panic attacks. You go to the doctors, all of them, and they would give you sleeping pills, sedatives. Nothing works. You're chemically knocked out, but your brain never enters any actual sleep. You're trapped in this limbo, this gray zone. Not awake, not asleep, just suspended. Then, the hallucinations start. You start seeing things that aren't there, shadows moving in the corners, people who died years ago standing at the foot of your bed. Your reality starts fragmenting. Then, from the hallucinations comes dementia. Rapid, aggressive, cognitive decline. You forget names, forget faces, forget where you are and who you are. Your body starts breaking down. You lose the weight rapidly and your muscles atrophy. Your organs start failing. From first symptom to death, it's about 18 months on average. Sometimes as quick as 7 months. Sometimes as long as 3 years. But has always been fatal. Always. The Silvano's family has watched this happen for generations. They've seen aunts, uncles, cousins, and parents waste away, unable to sleep, unable to die. Quickly. Just this slow, agonizing deterioration. And nobody knew why. Not until Silvano decided to do something about it. Silvano made a decision. He knew he was dying, and he knew at most he maybe had a year, maybe less. So he contacted local researchers, neurologists, sleep specialists, anyone who might be able to figure out what the hell was killing his family. And he made them a promise. When he died, they could have his brain, cut it up, study it, figure out exactly what is wrong with my family. Just please, figure it out so his daughters wouldn't have to go through this. Because that was the real horror. Silvano had 2 daughters, and this thing, whatever it was, ran in the family's blood. There was a chance, a very real chance, that they also carried it as well. So Silvano made himself a case study. Researchers monitored him around the clock, documented every symptom and every stage of his decline. We're gonna walk through exactly what they observed. Months 1 through 4, Silvano stops sleeping completely. His brain activity shows that he never enters REM sleep, never enters deep sleep. At best, he achieves a kind of twilight state, not quite awake and not quite asleep. He's exhausted constantly, but his body won't shut down. He starts having incredible panic attacks and his blood pressure skyrockets. He's sweating constantly, even in cool rooms. His pupils are dilated. He looks like he's in this constant state of fight or flight. Likely because he is. Months 4 through 9, the lack of sleep starts destroying his brain, twisting and turning his reality. He sees his dead father standing in his doorway, sees shadow figures moving throughout his house, and hears voices calling his name from empty rooms. He knows they're not real. At first, he can still recognize that they're hallucinations as hallucinations. But as time goes on, that very real line between real life and unreal starts blurring. He's not sure anymore what's happening and what's in his head. He has violent outbursts, moments of rage that come out of nowhere. He doesn't recognize his own wife sometimes and thinks she's an intruder. Months 9 through 13, his brain literally starts eating itself. He can't remember basic information that he's known his whole life, can't follow conversations, and can't perform any simple menial tasks. He's lost massive amounts of weight. His body is consuming itself for energy because he's barely functioning enough to eat. He's incontinent, can't control the bodily functions anymore, and can't walk without assistance. His speech becomes so slurred and incomprehensible, eventually he just opts to stop talking altogether. Months 13 through 18, Silvano is essentially catatonic. He's in a hospital bed at this point, breathing and heart beating, but there's nothing left of the man he was. His brain has been destroyed, and not by a tumor or any trauma, but by his simple, brutal absence of sleep. In March 1984, Silvano dies. He was only 54 years old. And true to his promise, researchers performed an autopsy on his brain. What they found changed everything. Inside Silvano's brain, in a region called the thalamus, researchers found something horrifying. His thalamus was full of holes, literally like Swiss cheese. The tissue had been destroyed, leaving behind this spongy, deteriorated matter. But there was no infection and no tumor, no obvious cause for the damage. What they found instead were prions. Now let me explain what a prion is, because it's nightmare fuel at its core. A prion is a misfolded protein. That's it. Just a protein that's shaped wrong. But here's the problem. When a prion comes into contact with a normal protein, it forces that normal protein to misfold as well. And that misfolded protein then forces other proteins to misfold into this massive chain reaction. These misfolded proteins clump together and destroy brain tissue. They create holes, they kill neurons, they turn your brain into a sponge. And the truly terrifying part is that there's no cure or treatment. Nothing stops this. Once it starts replicating in your brain, you are dead. It's just a matter of time. Silvano's family carried a genetic mutation, a single wrong letter in their DNA that caused their bodies to spontaneously produce these misfolded proteins in their thalamus. The thalamus, by the way, is the part of your brain that, ding ding ding, regulates sleep It's the sleep switch, and the Sylvanos prions were destroying it. No thalamus, no sleep. Ever. The researchers named the condition fatal familial insomnia, FFI. Fatal because you will always die. Familial because it only runs in certain families. And insomnia, of course, because you can't sleep. Here's where it gets worse. FFI is caused by a mutation in the PRNP gene on chromosome 20. If you have this mutation, you will develop FFI. Not might, but will. It's autosomal dominant, which means you only need one copy of the mutated gene to get this disease. If one of your parents has it, you have a 50% chance of inheriting it. Flip a coin. That's literally your odds. And if you have the mutation, it's not a question of if you'll develop it, it's a question of when. Usually between ages 40 and 60, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. But if you get tested for it and have it, it's coming. Right now, there are approximately 70 families worldwide known to carry this mutation, specifically Italian families and American families, but there have been a couple in Japan, Germany, France, and Australia. As far as we know, there's at least 70 bloodlines living with this genetic time bomb. Imagine knowing that you might carry this gene, that sometime in your 40s through 60s you might stop sleeping, might start this slow march towards death. Would you get tested? If you test positive, you know you're going to die this horrible death. But at least you know. If you test negative, you're free. But what if you don't want to know? What if you'd rather live in uncertainty than face the certainty of your own doom? Some family members get tested. Others will refuse. There's no right answer, and here's the truly fucked up part. Even if you test negative, you might have kids before you know, and if you pass on the gene, it's over for them as well. Now there are some other very specifics. The American family late in the 1990s, a woman in her early 50s, we'll call her Patricia, starts having trouble sleeping. She's in Chicago, no family history of sleep disorders that she knows of. Within 6 months, she's barely functional. Hallucinating, confused, rapid cognitive decline. Doctors think it's an early onset of Alzheimer's, and they're wrong. She would pass 13 months after symptoms start. Autopsy reveals FFI. Her 3 children would get tested, and 2 of them carry the gene. They're in their 30s now, just waiting and knowing. Every restless night, they wonder, is this it? Is this the start? The Australian case in 2001, a man develops FFI at 47. He's a school teacher, married with 2 teenage sons. He fights it as long as he can. He would keep teaching and keep trying to function, but the insomnia is relentless. 6 months in, he's having violent outbursts in class, screaming at students, seeing things that aren't there. He has to quit, has to be hospitalized. His sons watch their father, this man who raised them, taught them, and loved them, deteriorate into a hallucinating, incoherent shell. He would pass at 48. Both sons carry the gene. Another well-documented one is the Japanese family. 2010 or so. A 52-year-old woman develops FFI. She's a doctor. She knows what's happening to her because she's read about it. She studied it. She knows there's no cure. So she documents everything and keeps a journal of her symptoms, her decline, her thoughts as her brain disintegrates. The last entry, 3 months before her death, just says, I can't remember if this is real. Her daughter was a medical student, and she has the gene. She's 28 now, studying neurology, trying to find a cure before it's her turn. So let's talk about what actually happens when you can't sleep. Sleep isn't just rest. It's not a luxury. It's a biological necessity, like food or water. When you sleep, your brain does critical maintenance on the body. It clears out metabolic waste products, consolidates memories, repairs cellular damage, regulates your hormones, and resets neurotransmitter levels. Without sleep, all of that stops. In the first few days, you get tired and irritable, a little unfocused. After a week, you start to hallucinate. Your brain is so desperate for sleep that it starts dreaming while you're awake. Reality and dream states start bleeding together. After 2 weeks, your immune system crashes. Your body stops regulating temperature properly as well, and you're in this constant state of stress. After a month, you're experiencing severe cognitive impairment, memory loss, inability to focus, and paranoia. And it just keeps getting worse. For FFI patients, this process is incredibly accelerated and intensified because the prions are actively destroying their thalamus while they're not sleeping. It's a double assault on the brain. The thalamus destruction causes the insomnia. The insomnia accelerates the brain damage, and the brain damage makes the insomnia worse. It's this scary, deeply disturbing death spiral. And there's nothing that stops it. Sleeping pills don't work because the mechanism for sleep is physically destroyed. You can sedate someone with FFI into unconsciousness, but their brain never actually enters any sleep states. It never gets the restorative functions that the thalamus provides. It's like giving water to someone whose throat has been removed. The need is there, but the ability to fulfill it is gone. So, can we cure this at all? The short answer is no, not yet, and maybe never. Prion diseases are uniquely difficult to treat because prions aren't alive. You can't kill them with antibiotics or antivirals. They're just proteins, wrong-shaped proteins that corrupt other proteins. There's no true way to unfold them, no way to stop them from spreading. Once they start, they're unstoppable. Researchers have tried everything in our power currently. Drugs that have stabilized normal proteins don't work. Immunotherapy to target prions doesn't work, and gene therapy to prevent prion production too late once symptoms start. There's ongoing research and some promising leads in 2026, but nothing concrete. The best hope right now is early detection and prevention. If you know you carry the gene, maybe there will someday be a way to prevent the prions from ever forming in the first place, and that's likely the only way we can find out of this. But for people who've already developed symptoms, there is absolutely nothing, just palliative care. Make them comfortable, manage the symptoms the best you can, and wait for the end. Let me tell you about Emily. Emily is 34 years old. She lives in Boston and works in finance. She's married and trying to decide if she wants kids. Emily's father died of FFI when she was only 19. She watched the whole thing, the insomnia, the hallucinations, and the deterioration. She's known for 15 years that she has a 50% chance of carrying the gene. She hasn't gotten tested. If I test positive, she says, then every day for the rest of my life, I'm just waiting to die. Every time I can't sleep, I'll wonder if this is it. Every time I'm tired or forgetful, I'll think the disease is starting. If I test negative, I'm free. But then, what was my dad's death for? Why did he suffer if not to warn us, to motivate us to get tested? And what if I have kids without knowing and I pass it on to them? So she doesn't test and she lives in this limbo. Maybe she's safe, maybe she's not. Maybe she'll make it to 60 and be fine. Maybe she'll be gone by 50. This is the reality for hundreds of people worldwide living in the shadow of FFI, trying to decide between certainty and uncertainty, between knowing and not knowing. Some people test positive and end themselves almost immediately. They just don't want to wait for the disease. They don't want to put their families through watching them go down that path. Others test positive and decide to live every moment like it might be their last. They quit their jobs, travel the world, do everything they ever wanted before the insomnia comes. And some, like Emily, just choose not to know, choose to live in a space between hope and doom. There's no right answer. At the end of the day, it's your life. Here's something that nobody talks about. What if you could sleep? I don't mean cure the disease, I mean what if we could somehow artificially induce sleep in FFI patients, force their brains into this sleep state even with a destroyed thalamus? Would it save them? Or would they pass anyways? Because the prions are still destroying their brain? We don't know because we can't induce sleep in FFI patients. We've tried it and it doesn't work. But let's say we could. Let's say we could develop some technology that could make the brain sleep regardless of thalamic functions. Would that stop the progression, or would patients just sleep their way to death instead of staying awake for it? If you could sleep but the disease was still killing you, would you want to? Would you rather be aware of your final months, or would you rather sleep through them? Because here's the thing about FFI, you're conscious for almost all of it. You watch yourself die. You feel your mind breaking. You know what's happening. Maybe that's the real curse. Not the insomnia itself, but the awareness, the slow motion horror of watching your own brain destroy itself one sleepless night at a time. Silvano's daughters, they both got tested. One carries the gene, one doesn't. The one who carries it is now in her 50s, still sleeping fine, but she knows it's coming. Sometime in the next decade, probably sooner, maybe later, but it's coming. She has children, she's told them about the gene, given them a choice to test or not test. They're both adults now and they haven't quite decided yet. The other daughter, the one who tested negative, says she has survivor's guilt. Her father died and her sister is going to as well, and she's fine. That doesn't quite seem fair. But genetics isn't fair. It's just a roll of the dice. A random mutation hundreds of years ago in one person spreading through generations, ruining family members one by one. 70 families worldwide, hundreds of people carrying this gene, thousands more at risk of inheriting it. And all of them are facing the same impossible questions. Do I get tested? Do I have kids? Do I live normally or do I live in fear? Do I watch for symptoms or do I just forget? How do you live when you know you might be carrying your own death in your DNA? How do you sleep when you know you might never sleep again? Medical science has given us the knowledge we know. We know what FFI is, we know how it works, and we know who carries it. But we can't cure it. We can't stop it. We can just wait and hope that when it comes, if it comes, we face it with the same courage that Silvano did. That we contribute to the same research, that we help find answers for the next generation. Because right now, that's all we can do. Sweet dreams. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this one. I know it's dark and I know it's heavy, but it's real and it matters. Quick reminder, guys, everyone we cover on this channel is based on real cases and real medical phenomena. But these are stories and we will tell them as stories. Sometimes that means we recreate dialogue, imagine perspectives, or change names and details to protect the privacy and make the narrative flow. The core facts, those are real. The weird, inexplicable details, also real. But we're not writing medical journals here, we're sitting around the campfire. And the campfire stories need a little room to breathe. If you found this story as fascinating and as terrifying as I did, do me a favor and like this video. It helps more people find these stories, and if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more medical oddities to explore, and trust me, some of them make insomnia look almost merciful. Until next time, stay curious and appreciate every good night's sleep while you can. Thanks for staying, guys. Peace.